Hey, Capt here, preacher at large, teaching the word, inspiring, 5 minutes at a time. Hey, I was reading a daily devotional by Moody, and a few things hit me this morning I wanted to share with you. Colossians 3:11 says, where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and in all. Let's focus on the last few words there. But Christ is all and in all. Now, when we come to Christ, we're supposed to be a disciple of Christ. And I think too many people call themselves Christians, and they come to Christ, but they're actually not a disciple of Christ. What do you mean? Well, being a disciple of Christ is a full package, right? It means you actually follow what Jesus says. It means you actually follow the Master. And so we have too many people that have made a profession but are not disciples. And, oh, by the way, once you become a Christian, i.e. a disciple of Christ, then you have one job, and that is to make disciples. So how many of us are making disciples? That's the true test of whether you know God or not. Are you doing His will? Those that know God do His will. Right? So if Christ is all and truly in all, then the following must apply to our lives, all of us. The service of Christ is the business of my life. Is Christ the business of your life? Is that what you think about more than anything else? Well, a disciple of Christ, right? The business of his or her life is Christ. There's 4 things here. The next one. The will of Christ is the law for my life. Do I weigh everything against the Word of God? Against what Christ says? If I'm a disciple, I'm weighing everything against what Christ says. The will of Christ is the law of my life. And that's what I'm going to follow, that law, the will of Christ. Not the law, the will of Christ. Number 3, the presence of Christ is the joy in my life. I get it. Ups and downs, ins and outs, things are happening. Life is not always joyous, but you can still have a joy and a peace in your heart because Christ is the joy in our lives. Not what's happening to us, not the world. And so the last thing I want to leave you with, the glory of Christ is the crown of my life. When we come to Christ, we become a disciple of Christ, we do the will of Christ, and then these things will obviously be evident in our lives. That everything that we do, we want to do, the business of life is Christ. The law of life is Christ. The joy of life is Christ. My crown of life is Christ. And so, Christ is all and in all. Make that true for you today in your life. Now, the only way that you're going to do that is get your face in the Bible.